bioweapon coronavirus or 5G coronavirus, shadowy groups operating in secret, they really don't make that much sense.
So what's a conspiracy theory? Conspiracy theories are speculative. They're not based on concrete evidence.
If you imagine people who lack agency, people who lack a feeling that they're in control of their lives, whether it's their political, economic, or social lives, essentially what they want is some feeling that they can do something about the world.
So powerful events have equally powerful actors behind them. As someone who studies conspiracy theories, if you've ever tried to talk someone out of a conspiracy theory belief, it can't be done. You shouldn't try.
You believe there is a deep state.
Yes.
But maybe it's not true because there's no evidence of it.
There hasn't been any non-evidence yet.
My name is Elise Wong, and I'm a researcher and lecturer at Duke University. I study the sort of internal logic and rhetoric of conspiracy theories. And a conspiracy theory is a attempt to put a powerful actor behind a powerful event. And I think one of the sort of principles of conspiracy theories is that the cause is commensurate with the effect. So powerful events have equally powerful actors behind them. And it's best if that's a singular actor in the logic of conspiracy theories and not some sort of complex combination of societal factors. I think when we think of conspiracy theories, we do think of the man in the tinfoil hat sitting in his mother's basement, but actually conspiracy theory belief does cut across a wide swath of the population. And in the US, the most recent studies have shown about 75% conspiracy theory belief in almost every socioeconomic and racial and gender. It's all across the board.
Conspiracy theories essentially fill a need for control. My name is Viren Swami. I am Professor of Social Psychology at Anglia Ruskin University. I mean, we know there are some traits that make it more likely that people will believe in conspiracy theories, things like extreme paranoia, deep suspicion of other people. And when something bad happens, like a terrorist attack or like the current pandemic, people search for explanations. And simplistic explanations typically are adopted much quicker because essentially they are simple. They tend to personify the agent who's doing bad things. They tell you, look, it's 5G, or it's the government, or it's these people who are doing horrible things to us. And what that essentially does is it gives you a target. Now, rather than sitting at home and being worried about an abstract thing like the virus, I can take action. I can go out and burn a 5G telephone mast if that's what makes me feel better about the world. But essentially, these conspiracy theories feel a sense of having control over what's happening around me.
It is an important and interesting idea that there is a kind of personality trait here. But that can't really be the whole story. You then have the question, well, okay, maybe there is a kind of disposition that some people have to believe conspiracy theories, but which particular conspiracy theories do people believe? So that's a question that the psychological approach hasn't got an answer to. If you want to answer that question, I think you have to start to think about the politics of conspiracy theories. I'm Qasim Qassam. I'm a professor of philosophy at the University of Warwick. Conspiracy theories are very much part of one's broader political outlook. Part of the point of these theories is that they are a way of pursuing a political agenda. You know, conspiracy theories, I think, are basically a kind of form of political propaganda. If you are against, for example, greater environmental regulation to deal with global warming, then one way to advance your agenda is to say, well, but there isn't global warming. It isn't a real thing. So then why do people think it's a real thing? Well, because it's a hoax. It's fake news. It's been promoted by, China, whoever your favorite target is. Liberals are not immune to these theories. If you are an anti-Trump liberal, then you're going to find conspiracy theories about Trump quite attractive. Whereas Trump himself, who's on the other side of the political fence, of course, is himself a conspiracy theorist.
The same person votes many times. You probably heard about that. The president should come clean. He may not have been born in this country. There was a picture of him and crazy Lee Harvey Oswald having breakfast. Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. This is their new hoax.
Trump is probably the most conspiracy-prone president we've had at least outwardly. My name is Joe Uzinski. I am an associate professor of political science at the University of Miami. I have been studying conspiracy theories for about a decade. Conspiracy theories were alive and well in my country long before Trump showed up. We were, drowning and crushing witches a long time ago. We were having Red Scares and Illuminati panics and Freemason freakouts. So there's nothing new here. Trump's effect is that he has a big megaphone and he's able to share his ideas with lots and lots of people because he gets so much coverage. So when he shares conspiracy theories, there is a certain amount of people, particularly those who like him and trust him, that are going to buy into what he says. And that seems to be the case with coronavirus. Initially, he said that coronavirus was just the Democrats' new hoax and that it wasn't really dangerous. And you wound up with a lot of Republicans believing that and therefore not engaging in best practices because of what he was saying. He's since changed his rhetoric to more accurately reflect the dangers of COVID-19. But conspiracy theories can be dangerous, largely insofar as they can drive actions.
Fake news, real gunfire. A North Carolina man arrested in a D.C. pizza shop after brandishing a gun, telling police he was there to investigate a conspiracy theory called Pizzagate.
So I think conspiracy theories, by their very nature, are dangerous.
If someone believes in vaccine conspiracy theories and then they don't get vaccinated or don't get their kids vaccinated, they're essentially taking part in bringing back diseases that were once cured and potentially spreading them around to people who can't be vaccinated. If people believe in coronavirus conspiracy theories, either that it's a bioweapon or that it's being exaggerated and isn't really harmful, then those people aren't going to engage in best practices such as washing their hands frequently or social distancing. So when you have actions that can be dangerous because they're disconnected from our shared reality, that's when conspiracy theories can really do the most harm.
I think it was in Birmingham that one of the 5G telephone masts that was destroyed was serving NHS Nightingale, which seems to me a completely irresponsible thing to do, irrespective of your beliefs, where you actually take action that has a clearly damaging effect on the livelihoods and the lives of other people. Typically, they're associated with negative outcomes, whether it's greater racism, denial of science, denial of medical consensus, lack of engagement with mainstream politics, and so on.
I think that the sort of structure and logic of conspiracy theories lend themselves to racism and to nationalism because they are looking for these singular actors and they're looking for some sort of definable outgroup to blame for what is going on.
One conspiracy theory that you find very much on the extreme left and on the extreme right and with so-called Islamic extremism is anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And in fact, anti-Semitism is really part of the DNA of modern conspiracy theories, to such an extent that I think that it's very hard to be a conspiracy theorist and to completely detach oneself from this history of anti-Semitism.
And now to the growing number of hoaxes popping up online, from false claims about treatments to fake headlines about celebrities having the virus. Misinformation is spreading fast.
Officials are warning the public not to fall for fake cures peddled by some companies and individuals, possibly trying to scam consumers with their claims.
I don't think there's much point in trying to eradicate conspiracy theories. I think there is much greater value in trying to eradicate the causes or the underlying conditions that give rise to conspiracy theories. And that's a political question, that's an economic question, that's a social question. In part, that's also an educational question. It's about how we teach our children to think carefully about evidence, to analyze different sources of evidence and look carefully at what works and what doesn't work and operate as scientists.
I think deplatforming has to be part of any sort of attempt to address the wider dissemination of it, which is why I think it's really important to discover exactly how the disinformation is happening.
I think you need to do kind of two things. One thing is to kind of keep on hammering home the point that there is no evidence for these theories, right? So that's the first thing. So if they say 5G is the cause of coronavirus, then ask them questions like, so why is it that there's coronavirus in countries like Iran where there's no 5G? Conspiracy theorists are very keen always on asking the question, who benefits? And I think we should ask the same question. We should encourage people to ask the same question about conspiracy theories themselves. Who benefits from these theories? Why are people promoting them? What's in it for them? There isn't any kind of deeper explanation. Whereas if you think that the virus was manufactured in a biological warfare laboratory, or whatever your favorite conspiracy theory is, then you have a kind of explanation, and the whole thing becomes the pandemic becomes meaningful in a way that it wouldn't be without that sort of explanation. So I think one thing that human beings, sometimes really struggle with is the idea that, shit happens.
Governments, parts of them, will occasionally conspire. Corporations, too. There are powerful people out there who will do bad things. And the hope is that if we stay vigilant as democratic citizens, we will catch them, expose their plans, and bring them to justice. With that said, it doesn't mean every conspiracy theory out there is true or should be entertained in any meaningful way. Just because a lot of people believe it, just because it's popular, doesn't really mean anything.